Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for another gear talk, and this is going to be part 3. I want to give a brief disclaimer up front that I do not endorse illegal activity. I do not endorse people using any sort of prescription level substance outside of the care of a physician, and this is not intended as a replacement for advice from your medical doctor. Okay? Always consult a doctor with these things. All right, so one of the things that I feel needs to be addressed, and it was something that I realized when I started this series, is there's so much ignorance out there, particularly with younger, newer people newer to the whole scene, or who don't know much about it, who are into lifting regarding gear and anabolics and things. And we need to give good advice. And I mean, it really hit home for me when I put out the last one, when I had a regular follower chime in and they got angry at me for even making the series. Right? They were angry. And then they tried to tell me that this stuff is all extremely dangerous and no one should ever use it at all. That there was no quality of life benefits, no health benefits. And what I thought was interesting, I tried to discuss it with them. I'm like, well, that's not necessarily the case. Tons of people see vastly improved quality of life. They see vastly improved health. Longevity clinics, because he was talking about growth hormone even, like longevity clinics are prescribing growth hormone for cosmetic reasons, for longevity reasons. And actually, there's a lot of research in these areas. They're looking at ways of extending youth with some of these things. And we know that that's the case. I mean, TRT itself is essentially extending part of your youth. And he chimed in and said, well, I disagree. And then I looked at his profile, and the guy's a bartender. He's been a bartender almost his whole life, multiple bartending jobs listed all in there. And I said, well, don't you think that's a little bit hypocritical? Because, you serve alcohol for a living. And if you guys do that, that's fine. I'm not telling you that there's anything wrong or you're a bad person. I'm not going there with that. But alcohol is more deadly than anabolics are. I legitimately believe that if anabolics were regulated at the same level that alcohol is, they would still cause dramatically less harm physically, collateral damage due to violence, drunk driving, definitely the health end. Right? If they were available 21 at this regular store at the pharmacy, same process to get alcohol, it would be less deadly. And he's like, well, no, you're wrong. He goes, because alcohol has medicinal purposes, and I had a abscessed tooth once, and whiskey helped me. And, he went through this stuff, and he's talking about the medicinal purposes and how alcohol saves lives. And the guy chimed in, I shit you not, and says, there's never been a case of steroids saving anyone's life. Wow. Because actually they're extremely life-saving. Tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people throughout history's lives have been saved by anabolics. They're used to treat half a dozen different really serious medical issues successfully. Burn victims, anemia. They're even given to people post-bone cancer, after they go through bone cancer chemo and everything. And I mean real anabolics. We're talking like Anadrol and stuff has been used for this. But tons of stuff, muscle wasting diseases, AIDS, they're extremely life-saving. Then we get over to the TRT thing. People who are on TRT versus men who qualify for TRT and don't go on it have a 30% lower rate of strokes and heart attacks, when other lifestyle factors are accounted for. 30% lower. That's massive. That basically means, and I'm going to put this bluntly, that if you qualify for TRT medically and you don't do it, you're probably stupid or uneducated. Those statistics alone are massive. Low testosterone is actually a killer in men. And then we look at the longevity stuff. Again, combining growth hormone therapy with TRT for older men, and even some of this for women. Quality of life, health, vitality are all restored. And what about the ravages of age that we think about? This stuff, a lot of that stuff's reversed. Sarcopenia, osteoporosis. Well, look at what these substances do. They'll help reverse those things. They'll help reverse them, prevent them from happening. So this idea that these are not quality of life improving medicines, and that's only because they've been so demonized due to sports. That is the only reason that's a discussion even happening. If we did not have laws and social stigma about fair play in sports, and all athletes are on, all professional athletes are on multiple drugs. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. But if we didn't have the fair play in sports argument, these things would never have been demonized to begin with. Let that sink in. But then we have people who give the craziest, most abuse advice, or they just flat out don't give the best advice. You know, what are people commonly told? Massive amounts of test. Well, why were anabolics invented? To reduce the side effects of testosterone? Because at high doses, sure, their side effects mount up. And I'm not saying they're not manageable, but they're there. That's usually the idea. That's what makes a successful anabolic steroid, is a drug that keeps or enhances the anabolic benefits of testosterone while reducing a lot of the androgenic effects and its conversion into other substances. Okay. Yet what's the standard advice we see given? Very contrary to what I said in my first video. Keep in mind, a lot of successful no-test cycles were done back in the day. What were some of the most popular combinations done, you know, by even bodybuilders in the 70s and 80s? Be Deca plus Winstrol, Primobolan with D-Bol. Guys got great gains that were keepable of side effects. What I'm suggesting for some of this is, even for people who do their novice ones, everyone's just like, oh yeah, just do 500 milligrams of test. Well, okay, that's well and good. But people would still probably get better, higher quality, more keepable gains and less side effects if they just cut that down to a lower test and added a good anabolic in there. It's just Primobolan, Masteron, whatever. Now, people will say, well, those are more cost effective. They're more expensive. Well, yeah, test is cheap. That's why everyone uses tons of it. It is the cheapest anabolic to manufacture. It's the cheapest one to buy. That's why they do it. Not necessarily better. I can promise you hands down, someone would be a lot happier with their initial gains if they just ran, you know, a lower dose of test plus Primobolan or Masteron or even Boldenon, right? They'd see much cleaner results, more keepable muscle, less boof, stuff that disappears, right? And then you have the clowns out there. I've seen someone say in one of the initial ones, yeah, I see guys all the time. They're like, just take as much test as you can tolerate and then throw some Aromacin in, you'll be good. It's not good advice. So this series, we need to dispel some ignorance. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.